right now I'm taking over my pop's Instagram. We're gonna be posting videos by spreading, good energy.
Sean Combs' son has taken over his father's Instagram, posting a message of positivity, but there has been blowback. And the question is, could this play into Sean Combs' legal case at all? I'm going to bring on acclaimed celebrity criminal defense attorney, Brian McMonagle. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Interesting development in the Sean Combs case. Wasn't expecting this one. So as the 55-year-old sits behind bars in a Brooklyn detention center awaiting trial, currently scheduled for next year, on federal sex trafficking, racketeering, and prostitution charges, and as he faces multiple sexual assault lawsuits, even from people who claim that Diddy abused them when they were minors, like 10 years old. As all of this is going on, Diddy's son, Christian King Combs, just announced that he is taking over his father's Instagram. And he posted this video message to Diddy's almost 20 million followers.
What's up, y'all? It's King Combs. And right now I'm taking over my pop's Instagram. We're gonna be posting videos by spreading, good energy and taking y'all down memory lane and all the positive things he did. So stay tuned and watch this. Let's go. We love you, Pops. Happy birthday.
Now, this, of course, is in relation for the fact that it was just Sean Combs' 55th birthday. His children, in fact, posted a video of them wishing their father a happy birthday, while you can hear him in the background as he's on the call at the Metropolitan Detention Center. I said this before, it was the first time we actually heard Sean Combs' voice since all of this went down, since his arrest and his indictment. But since Christian took over the account has posted several times. First, it was the music video for Diddy's 1997 hit, It's All About the Benjamins. It also had the caption, "My pop's motivation to making music is always to make us dance and feel good. Happy birthday, Pop." Then there was a post featuring the 1998 music video for Victory. The caption read, "P. Diddy and the fam, who you know do it better." And in that actual video, he's kind of running away from law enforcement and authorities. And the latest post, at least at the time of this recording, was a 1994 behind-the-scenes video of a recording session with Diddy and Notorious B.I.G. So the question, of course, becomes, what is the move here? Could this impact Sean Combs' case? Could it impact a potential jury? Well, for that, I want to bring in a special guest. I want to bring in Brian J. McMonagle, one of the most renowned criminal defense attorneys in the United States, from the Philly firm of McMonagle, Perry, McHugh, Meshach, and Davis. Brian famously represented Bill Cosby in his first criminal trial, also represented Meek Mill. Brian, so good to see you again. Thanks so much for taking the time to come here on Sidebar. What do you think about this? I wonder if a lawyer advised him of doing this at all, or didn't advise him at all.
Well, I would hope so. I hope it wasn't done randomly. And listen, we live at a time where social media dictates public perception. We saw it in a national election. We see it in criminal courtrooms all over the country. And he's been getting massacred, let's face it, on social media for, the last 4 or 5 months. And I don't know that it's a bad thing. If it's done well, if it brings people back memory-wise to some of the good things that he's done in his life, which he's done many, all this is a long way of saying, listen, at some point in time, he's going to have to pick a jury. And it wouldn't be a bad thing if somewhere, somehow, somebody connected with one juror that might turn the table in a criminal case. The prosecution, when they pick a jury, they got to be perfect. They got to go, they got to go 12 for 12. Not so much for the defense. And if they can start to somehow just turn public opinion even a little bit, move the needle just a little bit, it could not be a bad thing. I mean, he's getting killed every day with one lawsuit after another that's driving, the media cycle. And it may not be a bad thing if it's done right.
By the way, as we're talking about this new move, this new decision in the Combs saga, and speaking with a great lawyer about this, it does make you think how important it is to have a trusted and valued attorney in your corner. And you know where that really comes into play? personal injury cases, because those can be really complicated. They can be tough to deal with, but that is where America's largest injury law firm comes in, Morgan & Morgan, our proud sponsor. Look, Morgan & Morgan has a dedicated team of over 1,000 attorneys. They have an incredible track record, like recent verdicts, like $12 million in Florida, $26 million in Philadelphia, $6.8 million in New York. There's no upfront fee. They only get paid if you get paid. The whole process can be done straight from your smartphone. So if you're injured, you can easily start a claim at forthepeople.com/LC Sidebar. When the story first started, I'm talking November 2023. Anybody was talking about Diddy. I mean, when I say anybody, people who are not in his inner circle of everyday Americans, people just following Diddy. Life of the party, hugely successful. He's accused by Cassandra Ventura of sexual assault, rape, sex trafficking. Where did this come from? This is not the Diddy that we all know. And for the past year, that whole narrative has changed. Nobody's talking about his music. Nobody's talking about him being the life of the party in a good way. The whole public perception has changed. So I can see, while saying, let's remember who he was. He's innocent until proven guilty. Let's remember who he was. And then specifically posting these kinds of videos, going back to 1997, 1994, 1998, those specific videos, do you think there's anything from that?
Well, I tried to look at that to see what exactly the message was and who they were trying to hit with it. But at some point in time, you're going to have to, I think, creatively argue that the government went too far here, that he was a target in some way, that they've called him a racketeer when we all know better. And he's been presumed guilty for about 4 or 5 months. He's become the punchline to jokes and memes. It's part of the narrative now. You turn on a TV and you can't but hear something negative being said about him. So I like the idea that they're trying to slowly but surely remind people that A, he is presumed innocent, and hey, he's a pretty good dad, and hey, he was a really good and important figure in American history. Let's not forget it all when we start this trial, whenever we start it. So I like it.
Here's the issue, though. The jury, maybe they'll see those video posts, maybe they'll see the videos. What wouldn't be great for Diddy is if they read the comment section, because I'm going to read you what some of the comments were from people after Christian Combs posted this. One of the comments was, maybe it's just lay low time. Another one wrote, I don't trust you. Another one was, we ain't forgot what your dad did. Nuh-uh, Lil Diddy. Nice try. I think one of them even called him the little diddler. That's interesting because you're seeing public perception. You're seeing not necessarily potential jurors. I don't know where all these people are posting from, but the public perception of what he's like. And you also mentioned if potential jurors see these posts, that might, sway their opinion of him too.
I will tell you, I remember during the prelude to the Cosby trial, I made a comment once to somebody that I felt like a kite in a hurricane. Trying to stem the negative publicity that he's going to get is an impossibility. It's just not going to happen. Nobody wants to write the story that he was a nice guy in 1997. But you got to do something. You sit back and you do nothing, as one of the comments said. And every single day there's a lawsuit being filed somewhere by somebody, and those accusations get unrebutted. No one is commenting positively on behalf of him. And if it's just one side of the story, I think by the time jury selection starts, this won't be a whodunit anymore. This will be how much time is he going to get? And I just think that they're trying, and it is an impossible task. You are not going to get in front of it, but you may get one or two people saying to themselves, well, wait a second, let's take a second look. Let's rethink it. Let's keep an open mind. It's not easy. And I don't pretend that it is for the defense camp, for his family. But why not give it a shot? And you'd be surprised. Sometimes it starts a little bit of a trend. And who knows, maybe they take their eye off some of these other lawsuits and start looking at maybe the motivation behind those lawsuits.
That's a good point. And let me ask you this. Does it seem like if Christian did this, he takes over Instagram of his father, starts posting. Does it seem that means that he is not a witness in his father's criminal case? Why do I say that? I say that because the defense has been quite vocal about prosecution witnesses or potential witnesses making statements out of court. They even asked the court for an immediate gag order that was actually denied. Does it seem, though, that if he's making these kinds of posts, that he is not a witness in his father's criminal case? What do you think?
I wouldn't conclude that, and I don't think we should. You bring up a really fantastic point, which is if he is going to be a witness, he's going to have to own everything he's ever said or everything he's ever written or posted. Listen, could he be a key witness in this case? I doubt it. Could he be a character witness in this case? Maybe. None of that's going to matter much at a trial like this. This case is going to be won or lost on whether or not the defense can carry the day in saying, nobody got forced to do anything. This guy was throwing parties. They were sex parties. People came there with their eyes wide open, with their willingness to partake in them. And now they want to try and derive some monetary benefit from having been participants in what was consensual adult behavior. That's the battleground. That's going to be the hill they're going to live or die on.
I thought it was interesting, though, Christian did this because I think, as you and I both talked about, he's facing a lawsuit of his own. Christian is. There is a former steward on Combs' yacht who said that Christian sexually assaulted her on board one night back in 2022, and Diddy, she sued him too because she said he aided and abetted it. It was premises liability. It was his yacht where this happened. So he's taking control of the Instagram, making these posts while he himself is the subject of a lawsuit. What do you make of that?
It's okay as long as he doesn't touch those areas. Him posting beautiful things about his father, tributes to his father, to his family. Can't sue him for that. You can't bring any negative connotations to him for that. And so that's why I think it's certainly been properly advised by counsel. Here's the lane you're going to stay in. Make it all tributes. Make it all positive reinforcement for your dad. Don't talk about any specific case. Don't talk about any specific complainant. Because if he does, quite frankly, it'll be a defamation lawsuit within 5 seconds. So I think they're smart enough to realize that. I hope that he is. And I expect we'll see more of it. I know that they've just taken another shot at trying to resurrect a bail motion. So I think they're going to be doing things that are going to, try to put things in the public know, maybe through pleadings, which is a good way to do it, and motion, which is a good way to do it. That way you're bulletproof. That way nobody's speaking out of school. You speak with your writings. You speak with your charging documents and with your motions. So I think you're going to see more and more of it because as we get closer to trial, they're going to need to reach some people. I can assure you.
Can we talk about the bail for a second, whether or not this new development affects the bail at all? Because why do I say that? Combs has made another push for pretrial release, and I believe this makes his 4th attempt. And he is saying he's providing a more robust bail package, so not only a $50 million bond secured by properties, but constant surveillance by a security team while he's detained at home, near total restrictions on his ability to contact individuals other than his lawyers. And he also says that the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center, it doesn't have the resources for him in order to properly prepare for trial to be able to review all the evidence. They wrote in one of their filings, despite the MDC's best efforts to facilitate the defense team's needs, the current arrangement makes trial preparation impossible, as evidenced by the recent multi-agency sweep of the facility and resulting lockdown. Now that, of course, is in reference to how the feds had raided the MDC for a bunch of contraband, including electronic devices, homemade weapons. Place is a mess. I've done sidebars about how the MDC is a mess. So it wasn't directly in relation to Sean Combs, but you could see how they're using that in their advantage. So Brian, I'll give you the floor on this. A, does Christian Combs posting these things on his father's account, does this affect the issue of bail? Maybe the prosecutor saying it just shows that Combs doesn't appreciate the seriousness of these allegations, maybe something like that. And just your take on whether or not he could be open to bail.
Given the nature of what's been published, and posted. No, I don't think it negatively affects him at all. A son's got a right to tell the world that his father was a good guy in his eyes. On the subject of bail, quite frankly, it's the latter that has my attention, which is it is pretty impossible, I will say, being at that location, at most interim hold facilities throughout the United States, for you to prepare for trial. And what's the worst thing that could happen? They would put him under house arrest, under 24-hour surveillance. The people at the federal facility would probably be tickled pink to get him out of there. And you would facilitate, I would think, trial preparation that could make a trial sooner than later. And judges like to hear that. I can't say I'm confident that they're going to now, after being unsuccessful 3 or 4 times, be successful. But that's their best argument for sure. Judges take it very seriously when they're worried about trial preparation because it affects appeals if there's a conviction.
Right.
It affects motions during the pretrial preparation. So that's going to be something that I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't a hearing on. How are we going to be able to give him the right to counsel and access to discovery? And if we can't, maybe we got to do the thing we don't want to do, which is to send him home.
I think it's a fascinating issue that's not going to be resolved that quickly because he's taking it up to the current judge. The judge denies it. Then he's going to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. He's raised a number of really interesting arguments, in my opinion, because it's not only suggesting, hey, I wasn't properly reaching out to witnesses and victims like the prosecution says. Sometimes they were reaching out to me. As soon as I found out, I stopped reaching out. But I thought one of the best arguments that they made was, the prosecution said, it's not fair for someone in Sean Combs' position who can afford to make his home a private prison for him to do that and make bail, while somebody else who's of lesser means can't do it, and that wouldn't be fair. It's a two-tiered system of justice. And he responded, Brian, I thought this was great. The reason I have to spend so much money like this, the reason I have to turn my house into a prison is because of the allegations you've put forward. You say I have the money and the resources to just be a danger to the public. Well, I am showing you I will take all the most drastic, expensive steps to mitigate any concern you might have. I thought that was pretty compelling.
It is compelling, and it's 100% right. I mean, listen, nobody really thinks that if he is released under house arrest, that A, he's going to try to escape, or B, he's going to try and contact witnesses. It would be the greatest thing that ever happened to the prosecution of this case. Why would he be that foolish, stupid, ill-advised to make such a blunder? He would. And so everybody knows that. The government just doesn't want to concede the fact that he should be released. And I have a feeling that they're going to be successful.
Yeah. And look, I mean, their argument was he's been even engaging in illicit activity and freak-offs since this year, 2024, while he was in New York. They said he was engaging in illegal activity. But here's the thing. To wrap it all back up to Christian Combs for a second, you make a really good point about family members supporting their father, their mother, their brother, their sister who are locked up behind bars. And Combs' children have always been at his defense. They released a statement last month, a joint statement that said, the past month has devastated our family. Many have judged both him and us based on accusations, conspiracy theories, and false narratives that have spiraled into absurdity on social media. We stand united, supporting you every step of the way. We hold on to the truth, knowing it will prevail, and nothing will break the strength of our family. We miss you and love you, Dad. And Brian, you know what's interesting about that? Reporting indicates that every time Sean Combs had come into court for any of these hearings, he was always looking at his family, winking, kissing, blowing kisses towards them, putting his hand to his heart. When he's on that phone call for his birthday, he actually sounds surprisingly happy and upbeat. And I'm sure in your experience, having family who are involved in the criminal process when their loved one is charged with heinous, serious crimes that could send him to prison for the rest of his life, that aspect of the family is really, really important for, I imagine, their psychological well-being and their emotional well-being.
Not only that, but I've had jurors tell me time and time again in cases that we've been successful, where there is that kind of strong family support, front row, every day, unified outside the courthouse, inside the courthouse, respectful, respectable, decent people. Jurors pay attention to that. Jurors look and they're thinking, okay, this guy's clearly not the evil guy they're telling me he is. Let me take a longer look at this. maybe look a little bit beyond the words here. That kind of unified effort by family and not just family. I'm sure there will be people that are in the public eye that will be coming to this courthouse and coming to support him. It makes a difference for jurors. Make no mistake about it. And I think you're just starting to see the beginning of that now with these social media posts.
The only counter argument to that was everything changed, I think, for a lot of people when that 2016 video came out of him beating Cassandra Ventura. That changed the whole narrative. That gave so much credence to what was being said. And if they have the videos, like they say they do, of documenting freak-off activity or other illicit activity, they have text messages, photos, that will change the game, I think, significantly, Brian.
Jess, if that video gets into evidence, it's as long and a hard a struggle as you'll ever want to see in a courtroom. It's hard for jurors to see that and then think anything good thereafter. It really is. And that's why I said previously, to you, I think that there'll be a concerted effort to try to keep that out as evidence in this case. If it's in, long road.
That's why they've been trying to say, the defense has been trying to say that video was leaked. And if it was leaked, it should be suppressed. And so they're having a back and forth about that. But Brian McMonagle, thank you so much for coming on. Great seeing you and really appreciate your expertise as always.
Great to see you.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.